Hello, my name is Sammy Schneider, and today I'm going to present to you three major themes in education in current society and the role that it has on my life and in the life of everyone involved in the education system. So my first theme, as you can see from the title slide, is going to talk about the significance of developing a new and improved education system. And this theme speaks to basically my entire life because I was a student and still am a student in the public education system. I plan to be a teacher and teach in the public education system, and then I also plan on having children and they will attend school in the public education system. So as you can see, my life, my career, basically everything revolves around this theme. So it's very important to me, and I'm very passionate about the importance of developing a new and improved system. So one of the authors, Sahlberg, states on page 1, the demand for better quality teaching and learning and more equitable and efficient education is universal. So in this quotation, he's addressing the issue of how badly we need a reform in current education system. And he also goes on to state, this is Sahlberg 2015 on page 5, improving the teaching force, limiting student testing to a necessary minimum, placing responsibility and trust before accountability, and handing over school and district level leadership to education professionals. So that's just specific ways that he sees are necessary for the education system to be improved. Williams, 2008, on page 49, Williams, 2008, on page 21, states, the idea is that the students and the teachers need to work together until they are done. And that is a very short, very concise, very powerful sentence by Williams, 2008. And basically she's saying that in the education system, it's going to be successful if the teachers and the students work together as one through the entirety of the student's career. And that will lead to successful students, graduated students, educated students, and the teachers having an enjoyable career, the teachers being able to do what they love and to express themselves by educating students who need to be educated. Berliner and Glass, 2014, addressed this theme of needing a new education system when they state, physical education, they state this on page 49, physical education, so badly needed in these days of sedentary life for young people. Music, art, lab sciences, and the like all take a back seat to drill and kill basic skills instruction. And they're basically saying that in today's modern society, life is very lazy, and people are very lazy, and people like to get quick answers. They like to Google something and it's right there for them. They don't like to think. They don't like to read. They don't like to study. And basically Berliner and Glass are picking this theme apart by saying that it's completely necessary for physical education classes. It's completely necessary for music, art, lab sciences. Those classes need to be in the system, and right now those classes are all taking a back seat to the science, the math, the hardcore like physics, bio classes, because that's what people see as success. However, Berliner and Glass 2014 are saying that it is so essential that we go back to the basics and go back to art, physical education, etc. So that's what they're saying is going to be a successful thing to improve the education system and make it better than it currently is. So my first theme, which has a very huge part on my being because it's basically my entire life, is the improvement of our education system and the necessary steps that we need to take in order to achieve this. So that is the conclusion of theme 1. Stay tuned for theme 2. Okay, theme number 2. Theme number 2, as you can see from the title slide, is that other countries' education systems are better than America's education system. So clearly that is a very broad statement, very unexplained, and the word better could mean a lot of different things. So that's what I'm going to explain to you. So our three authors touch heavily on this theme and touch on how it is important in education, extremely important in education, to have something we can look at and say, that country did that and it worked. We should do that. Or that country did that and it didn't work. We should not do that. And in order to change America's education system, we need an example. We need to look to get ideas of what to do, what not to do, etc. So the three authors all have their own opinions on this, and Sahlberg, 2015, states on page 58, the steady progress Finland has made during the past 3 decades within 4 domains: increased levels of educational attainment of the adult population, widespread equity in terms of learning outcomes and performance of schools, improved student learning as measured by international student assessments, and efficiency in using human and financial resources almost solely from public sources, and that was on page 58 by Sahlberg, 2015. Sahlberg, 2015 also explains on page 59 this concept of educational attainment by stating, the current situation is congruent with a typical profile of the educational attainment period in advanced societies, where about 30% of the population has a higher educational attainments and about 40% are upper secondary education degree holders. And that Sahlberg is just stating Finland's success and basically stating this is what was successful for Finland, therefore this is what America should do to be successful. Berliner and Glass, 2014, state on page 54 a myth that simply states teachers in the United States are well paid, and that is the myth. So clearly Berliner and Glass 2014 are saying that is not true, and I backed this up by doing some of my own research, and I found that American teachers' salaries have been decreasing 2% every year since 1970. Berliner and Glass 2014 also address on page 59 that it is commonly understood that teachers in the United States are paid more than teachers in other countries, but clearly teachers in New Zealand, Finland, and Canada get paid more than teachers in the United States. So that is not true. And then on page 57, Berliner and Glass state, discouraging highly qualified college students from pursuing a career in education. And they're referring to what low wages for teachers do. So basically they're saying since our education system provides low wages for teachers, it is discouraging talented college students from entering that profession. Williams, 2008, discusses this in a whole new light, where she discusses the pressing issue of school violence. So Williams, 2008, on page 69 states, once you know that love, that joy, that promise, there can be nothing that could ever replace it. That loss can never be grieved enough, not ever. And she is referring to a story of Red Lake, where there was a school shooting and multiple students were murdered. Williams, 2008, also discusses the incidents of bullying, of peer pressure, of low self-esteem in schools, and how in other countries that is minimal to non-existent, whereas in the United States it is a pressing and very high-profile issue in the United States school systems. So she's saying that in order to be successful, we need to eliminate school violence in the schools. So those three authors all state on theme number 2, and that is the conclusion of that, how it is very important in education to base our successes and what we shouldn't do off of the successes and what other countries had failed in their education systems. That is it for theme number 2. Stay tuned for theme number 3. Okay, theme number 3. Theme number 3 is that the impact of an education system has a positive and direct correlation to the economy of a nation. So basically, good education system, good economy, bad education system, bad economy. So Sahlberg, 2015, states on page 154, it was also realized that the knowledge economy is not only about preparing human capital for higher know-how, it is also about having highly educated and critical consumers who are able to benefit from innovative technological products in markets that require better technological literacy. So that's a lot of words, but basically she's saying that if we have more educated consumers, we have a better functioning economy. And if we have a better functioning economy, we are able to pour money back into education systems to make higher educated consumers. So it's just a give and take relationship that just keeps on going, and a positive education system, positive economy. Sahlberg, 2015, on page 159, also states regarding this topic, a common conclusion about the role of social and economic policies in building the education system in Finland since the 1970s is that it demonstrates how context makes a difference in educational achievement. In other words, it shows that individual well-being, equitable distribution of income, and social capital can explain student learning in international comparisons. So once again, that's just supporting the theme. Berliner and Glass, 2014, on page 203, state they are debunking a myth, and the myth states, our nation's economy is suffering because our education system is not producing enough scientists, engineers, and mathematicians. So Berliner and Glass 2014 expand on this on page 213 by stating, the oversupply of STEM graduates and the continued improvement of U.S. students' STEM skills suggest that STEM mania is based on some false premises. The idea that our nation is suffering because our education system is not producing enough scientists and engineers is a myth. and the myth overwhelms the more desirable goal of seeking a balance between STEM education and so many other subjects worthy of our study. And then Williams, our third author, 2008, states on page 91, by watching the oppositions define and redefine what is important in Minnesota's public schools over the past several years, we have weathered the trump and triumph of several forms of logic that have competed in the form of state standards. State standards define what students will be expected to know and to be able to do by attending public schools. State standards define what teachers will be expected to teach in public schools. State standards define the learning that will be tested by tests that will be used to rate the success of the public schools. So Williams 2008 is just explaining that if the economy is functioning well, they can put money into supporting the state standards, which basically improve the education system completely. And then once the education system is improved, highly educated students will come out of it and enter society and then positively benefit to society and the economy of a nation. So that concludes theme number 3. Stay tuned to how all of these themes are prevalent in a charter school. Okay, so for my case study, I studied the charter school system in Minnesota specifically. So after studying the charter school system, I studied their website mainly, and also I looked up some statistics based on charter schools in Minnesota, just on government websites, etc. So for theme number 1, which I will remind you was the significance of developing new and improved education systems, I studied what was successful and what is not successful in the charter schools regarding this theme. So as Sahlberg 2015 states on page 5, improving the teaching force, limiting student testing to a necessary minimum, this is the important one, placing responsibility and trust before accountability. So I noticed that was something that the charter schools are doing correctly or doing successfully. And I found on the charter school website the statement, leadership is about being able to afflict the comfortable and to comfort the afflicted. And also the charter school states, and I quote, a leader must be able to challenge things as they are and those who are comfortable with the status quo, and at the same time assure those who are afraid of the unknown that they have the ability to move through uncertain times and that the future will ultimately be better. And basically after researching the charter schools, I found that charter schools really emphasize the responsibility and trust of students and administrators over accountability, in the sense that it's not always about if you get an A. It's not always about attendance. It's more about being responsible for yourself and being responsible for your students. So that is something that I noticed on this theme that the charter school system is succeeding on. Another one, which is from the same quote of Sahlberg 2015 on page 5, which he states, handing over school and district level leadership to education professionals. And in the charter schools, the authorizer, who is in charge of the charter schools, picking the board, picking the administrators, the principal, etc., the authorizer is an education professional. So I think that this is definitely something the charter schools are succeeding in regarding to this theme. And I found this statement on the charter school website. An authorizer holds the public charter school accountable through a contract and ongoing monitoring and oversight. The authorizer has the power and responsibility to terminate a charter school contract if a school is not performing in terms of academic, financial, or operational performance. So basically the head honcho of charter schools is an education professional, which is succeeding based on this theme. Another thing that I found on this theme that charter schools are succeeding in is the field of sports, art classes, music classes, etc. Williams states, Berliner and Glass, my bad. Berliner and Glass 2014 state on page 49, physical education so badly needed in these days of sedentary life for young people. Music, art, lab sciences, and the like all take a backseat to drill and kill basic skill instruction. And in charter schools, they really stress sports classes, art classes, music classes. They stress gym class, lessons are available, swimming lessons are available, etc. And so I think that's really something that charter schools are succeeding in regards to this theme. So basically all I could find was positives regarding charter schools and this theme. Clearly there are some negatives in the sense that the charter school system still needs to be improved, which is basically what this theme is, but the things that it needs to be improved to are already being practiced in the charter school system. So I thought that was very interesting, and that is something that I enjoyed studying based on theme number 1. Stay tuned for theme number 2 in charter schools. So when looking at the case study of a charter school in regards to theme number 2, which was that other countries' education systems are better than America's, I found a lot of information, but I'm going to base it on 3 different pieces of information regarding to this theme, one of which is success that charter schools have, and 2 of which are weaknesses in this theme that charter schools exhibit. So the first one was found from this theme in Sahlberg 2015's quote on page 58, where he states, "Widespread equity in terms of learning outcomes and performance of schools." And basically he's saying in that quote that that's what schools should have. And I found in the charter school system this quotation. Human resource management is about our attitude and beliefs about human nature, our perception of people's motivations, our value of others' contributions, our comfort with diversity of people and thoughts, and our skills and ability to communicate expectations, provide support, and challenge poor performance while respecting human dignity. So clearly that is widespread equity in learning outcomes. The outcomes of learning are to be a good person, to practice good values, not just to be able to multiply or to be able to read in a fast pace. So that is something that I found that charter schools are very successful at, is having a widespread, you're not just here to learn academics, you're here to learn life. So I think that was very interesting. The second main piece of information that I found regarding charter schools and this theme comes from that same Sahlberg 2015 quote on page 58 in a short segment where he states, "Improve student learning as measured by international student assessments," where Sahlberg is saying that we should strive to assess students in schools based on international assessments, as like, how am I doing compared to people in other countries? And I found in the charter school website this quotation. "Success of a charter school's academic programs are measured through academic achievement, attendance, retention, graduation rates, and other measures of student performance." So it's not measured based on any other schools. It's not measured based on relating schools to other schools in other nations or even other countries. It's based on, in that school, do they come to class? Do they graduate? Do they retain, or do they know information? Do they remember information? Are they achieving academically? In that sense, the way that students are assessed and the school is assessed is a weakness in regards to this theme, because they should be assessed on a wide scale, not just in the school, one student at a time. Another piece of information that I found was how Berliner and Glass 2014 talk about teacher salary. And this is a huge weakness in charter schools regarding this theme, because Berliner and Glass are stating that teachers need to be paid more. And I found research that shows that charter school teachers are paid very low. On average, $38,434 per year is the average charter school salary for a teacher. So I think that that is a huge weakness in regards to this theme. And I actually lied before. I found 4 pieces of information, and the last one is in regards to Williams 2008, where she talks about school violence. And this is a very prominent issue in charter schools, since there's a lot of low-income children who have rough home lives and rough backgrounds. And I found that the top 6 charter schools with their most reported growth of incidents were KIPP charter schools, which were mostly in New York. But basically, charter schools have a lot of violence, and this is a huge weakness in regards to this theme. And I found this on a website that was giving information about violence in charter schools, and it says, "Some experts, however, caution that charter schools' spike in violent incidents could be more of a reflection of these schools' zero-tolerance disciplinary policies than students' actual behavior. The stricter the behavior regimens are, the more likely students are to be reported as violent when they don't conform." So basically, in regards to this theme, charter schools are putting on harsh disciplinary actions, and what is the word I'm looking for? And it ends up violent. And so violence in schools are high in charter schools, which is something that is a huge weakness in regards to theme number 2. Stay tuned for theme number 3. So when studying this case study of charter schools relating to my themes, my third theme, which was the impact of the education system has on an economy, I found two major pieces of information. One is a success in charter schools, and one is a weakness, something they could improve on in the charter schools. So the first one is a statement from Sahlberg 2015 on page 154, where he states, "It was also realized that the knowledge economy is not only about preparing human capital for higher know-how, it is also about having highly educated and critical consumers." And this is a strength in the charter schools because charter schools are known for turning low-income students into graduates, into people who know what they're doing, into people who know how society works, how things work, and it's a very cool and very powerful system. The charter school system is a very powerful system. And I found this quotation from a website that was studying the graduation rates of charter schools, and it states, "The conclusion from this exploratory examination are that districts do make changes in their educational services and district operations as a result of charter schools, and that charter school students are being educated and prepared to be active members of society." So I think that's just very interesting. That's very cool that they're taking low-income students and actively teaching them, actively educating and preparing them to be members of society and contribute positively to society. So in regards to that, charter schools are succeeding in that part of the theme. The second piece of information I found regarding my theme was when Berliner and Glass 2014 talk about on page 213, they talk about the oversupply of STEM graduates and the continued improvement of U.S. students' STEM skills suggest that STEM mania is based on some false premises, basically saying that STEM classes are forced upon students. And I found that this is a weakness in the charter school system because charter schools are, in fact, forcing students into STEM classes. And I found this fact that states, on a recent survey, 1/5 of all American charter schools reported that they have specific STEM or math and science focus classes they require their students to participate in. So it is very problematic when you're forcing these students who want to be musicians, who want to be artists, into learning hardcore math and science. And if they're not enjoying it, it's not going to be successful. And the students are being forced into these STEM classes when they exhibit low grades or disinterest in the classes. They're still being forced to take them. So that is a weakness regarding this theme in the fact that they're being forced into STEM classes. So those two pieces of information were what I found for the case study of charter schools in relation to the theme number 3. That is all I have for you today in the information of case studies. I know I went kind of a lot over 10-minute video, but I had a lot to say, and this project was very interesting, and I enjoyed looking at charter schools because they surround me, because I'm in the cities, and they really, I'm impacted by a lot of them, and I know a lot of people who have gone to charter schools, and it's very interesting, and the fact that I want to be a teacher in a public school or maybe even a charter school is very interesting, learning about how main themes in education are portrayed and how are they successful and how are they weak in a charter school system. And I really thought this project was fun, and I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm sorry that I went over 10 minutes, but thank you for watching, and thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my case study of my 3 themes of the course in charter schools. So thank you for a great summer month, and I wish you the best in your summer. Thank you.